So first I'm going to sew down my casing. You see I have this extra tab of fabric at the back of the diaper, and I'm going to fold it down until the back of the wing is straight, and then I'm just going to sew with a straight stitch using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance and sew this casing down. Next I'm going to sew down the casing for my outer fabric, doing the same thing, and you want to fold down the casing towards the wrong side of the fabric, so that'll be towards my shiny side of my PUL. Fold it down until the back is equal with the rest of the wing, and then just sew your casing down. The next step in this process is to measure your back elastic and cut the amount of back elastic that you'll need. And then I like to place a safety pin inside the edge of the back elastic. Not too close to the edge, give yourself a little distance. We're going to thread our safety pin through the casing that we just sewed down. Make sure you don't twist the elastic as you do this, and just guide that safety pin through the casing until this edge, opposite edge of the elastic, reaches the end of your casing. So just very slowly work the safety pin through, and now the opposite edge of my elastic is right at the edge of my casing. So I'm going to sew that edge down to my fabric, and I do this by stitching across that edge of the elastic 3 or 4 times, just back stitching and forward stitching to make sure I grab the edge of the elastic really well, and then it's not going to get lost in my casing as I thread the rest through. So then once I've tacked down my elastic at that end, I'm just going to continue to draw the elastic through my casing until I reach the other end. I'm going to pull my safety pin all the way through until I see the other edge of my elastic. I'm going to tack down the other end of my elastic. It's okay if you have just a little bit of the elastic showing that you need to trim off. And then I'm ready to repeat the same process with my inner fabric. Here I have my 2 layers of fabric with the back elastic sewn in, and I'm going to sew these 2 right sides together now, which means the fuzzy side of my suede cloth or whatever fabric, good side of whatever fabric you have, should be facing inwards towards the non-laminated portion or the non-shiny side of your PUL. I've got my fabric, 2 layers of fabric put together and pinned together, right sides together. So I'm going to start sewing them together now with the seam allowance called for this size pattern that I'm making. Make sure you check your seam allowance because each size is a little bit different. And I'm going to sew them together with a straight stitch. I like to sew right sides together with the inner fabric facing me because it's easier than sewing on the wrong side of PUL. So I'm going to use a straight stitch, and I'm going to sew all the way around the diaper, starting at one end of the back elastic and finishing at the opposite end of the back elastic, making sure that I don't shut the back elastic because we need that open for our pocket. So now I'm coming to the area where my back elastic is again. I'm going to finish sewing right sides together, butting up right up against where that elastic starts, and then reinforcing my stop point. I'm applying leg elastic now, and I'm going to tack the piece of elastic that I measured according to the size of diaper I was making and the width of elastic that according to the size diaper I'm making. I'm going to tack that to the first tack point and mark that tack point on the wrong side of my diaper inner fabric. Again, it's just easier to sew on the inner fabric than it is on that shiny side of PUL. And I'm stretching my elastic about 75 to 85%, pulling it with one hand as I guide the fabric through with my other hand. And when I get to the bottom, I'll reinforce it well, and then repeat this on the other side. Now I'm ready to sew the elastic to the front area of the diaper, so I've measured the amount of elastic I need for the front area and cut it. I'm going to tack the elastic down to my elastic tack point, which again I've marked on the inner fabric on the wrong side, and then I'm just going to stretch and sew like I did before. and then I'll just reinforce my stopping point. So here's my diaper with my back, front, and leg elastic sewn into it. And now I'm ready to turn the diaper out, top stitch it, and add the hook and loop closures. I'm going to start top stitching this diaper right at one edge of the pocket opening. I'm going to use a minimal top stitch around 1/4 inch with a straight stitch, and I'm going to go all the way around the outside of the diaper. As you're top stitching around the diaper, you'll come to several elastic areas, and when you get to the area of the elastic, you want to pull your fabric as tight as you can. Increase your top stitching seam allowance to avoid sewing the elastic. You don't want to tap that elastic at all, otherwise you'll lose your elasticity and the diaper won't function as well. So wherever there's a piece of elastic, make sure you flatten that fabric out and avoid hitting it. And then once you've finished the elastic area, you can return to your minimal seam allowance. You reach the other side of the diaper after top stitching all the way around. You want to approach the pocket and get as close to the elastic pocket opening as you can with your top stitching. And then what I like to do is just reinforce that pocket opening, since it's going to get a lot of use, with a couple of stitches back and forth. I'm going to follow the instructions on how to place the hook and loop according to the size diaper. This is one of the larger child size diapers, so it's going to have 2 rows of hook and loop on the front and back wings. So now I have the 4 long pieces of loop sewn to the back wings of the diaper, and you'll notice the back wing hook and loop, or snaps for that matter, are attached to the outer fabric so that they're showing on the outer fabric in the back of the diaper. Now the hook and loop going on the front wings is going to go on the inner fabric so that it will engage the loop there on the back. Here it is, a Kayla's Cloth Kits KCK snap-on pull-off diaper with hook and loop closures and the back pocket opening. I recommend on this diaper placing the snaps after the diaper is finished, so you're going to put them through both layers of the fabric. And I like to start with the front of the diaper first. We want to place the stud snaps 1/2 inch from the finished edge of the diaper. So this is the back of the diaper, and the first thing that I like to do is to measure 1/2 inch from the finished edge of the back wing, and just kind of make a little line with a disappearing marker at 1/2 inch, and so that way I know how far from the edge of the wing to place my first socket. Then, instead of just using the pattern to line up my snaps, I like to take the front wing, the studs on the front wing, and line it up with that 1/2 inch mark, so that I make sure that my 2 studs will fit my first 2 sockets perfectly. And then just make a little mark underneath using a disappearing marker where the center of that socket snap on the back wing should go. And then again, another mark down here where this socket should go. Then once I place my first 2 sockets, after that I like to measure 1 inch from the center of the first socket to where the center of the second socket will go. Make a mark there.